afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our June giveaway. I'm just going to give it a minute or so for a few people to join. So have a sip of my juice. Being a good boy now, huh? So I'll just give it a minute or so. Because I know it takes a little bit of time. Been a busy boy today, actually, getting prepared, ready for the summertime. So you might be able to see a few of my floats. So we went out and done some filming at Meadowlands, and to be honest, I've never used this little float before, this little mugger one that Key made and designed. I think Rich said it was from Hayfield, and just where I'm doing my carp fishing, you might be able to see if I move up a bit closer. Be able to see I've just whipped the eyes in. Everyone's got their own way of doing it, but that way they're never, ever, ever going to break for when I'm doing my carp fishing. So I've got Willingshurst coming up. That's not going to be, I think the finals in September, so I'll probably be doing a bit of that sort of August time. So yeah, just been sorting my mugging floats out, these muggers. Let's say when we've done some filming, that was an unbelievable float for slapping at Meadowlands. And then the normal dibbers that I use, I need to cut these number 4 ones down a little bit. I've cut a couple down, you'll be able to see those two there, just to get them the right length for me. But sort of that one, there's a number 4 sort of mugging, sort of slapping flow. Again, the other ones that I've used more for me F1 fishing have been my number 1, number 2 RW dibbers, but Rich makes like that number 4 version. And then here, so again, like a little number 3 version. So I've just whipped the eyes in on those as well. And then lastly, my favourite float of all time, the one that I just set up everywhere I go, which is, if I grab them over here, and my sort of 4x16 Maggies, 1.7 mil. And again, I've just done the same because I use these in the edge a lot. So when I'm fishing less than 2 foot, got one here, little muddy. That's brilliant for me for sort of 2 foot, just over 2 foot. But some of the edges, sort of 2.5, 3, 4 foot even. I love that 4x16 Maggie. So you'll be able to see I've whipped the eyes in on those. So I'm getting ready for my red hydro fishing. So let's see. So Barry, cheers, Baz, absolute superstar. He is saying that all clear, evening, Paul. Evening, Barry. I hope you keep him well. So what I'll do is I'll put my little soldiers down and get them out of the way, and then we can get started with our June giveaway. So I've got my list here. If I do that, got my little notes from Joe, you might be able to see. So what has she written for us on this one? So the first thing is we've still got some hats left. We've got what ones have we got? I'm trying to think if I've got any down here. I've only got one down here, a black one. So we've got a black with white logo. We've got a sort of, I'm going to call it a duck egg colour, sort of a creamy colour. That one's got a red target, and then we've got a red one with a white target. That's really nice. Just not that confident in wearing it. I'm not very shouty. And then the last one we've got is a nice light blue one with a target on. So again, if you would like a hat, if you go on the website, you haven't got to be a subscriber. Just go on the website, go onto the shop, and you'll be able to see them on there. So that's one from Joe, the boss. So this one is from Fuzz. Evening, Paul. Just invested in some RWs. Best floats by a million miles, in my opinion, Fuzz. Just all designed, made really, really well. The problem is a lot of them that I like using for carp fishing, they're not made for carp fishing with red hydro, sort of 022, maybe 024 mainline, pulling like a bit of a luno. They're not really made for that. So, but you've got your favourites. And again, if I'm using them for that sort of style of fishing, I just need to start whipping the eyes in. It doesn't take long. Be honest, I don't break that many, but the last thing you want is to lose a fish, especially with red hydro. You're not going to have a lot of float left. So this one is from Les. Are you a fan of the Overshot Rig? Do you know what? It's weird. So I've had, when we finished the Pole Masters? It's Friday today. I never know what. I just look at my calendar, and that's what I'm doing that day. That's how I treat it. I try not to look too far ahead now. It's just manic, manic, manic at this time of the year. But I've had quite a few messages, and it's something we're going to talk about on our live tonight. So if you want to pop over there, again, I've got that written down. Our live is with Andy at 6:30 tonight. I've had a couple of questions about it. It's a difficult one because it's a deadly tactic. It's unbeatable, as you've seen. And the thing is, I'm not a big fan of rules. I think the less rules, the better. Ultimately, you go in there to be able to catch the fish. The biggest thing at this time of the year is, so we went on Sunday and I drew a brilliant peg 22 around the back of house, a tunnel, for those that know it. It's probably, I'm going to say, one of the best 3 or 4 pegs on the complex when it comes to fishing shallow to cover. It's got a weed bed opposite you, but it's in an area where there's not a lot of cover. On 19, you've got a bit of cover. They don't tend to sit there. They sit sort of more in the edge. But anyway, on this peg 22 on the house, there's a load of cover across. And to your right, there's no cover at all. And it's quite narrow. And it's just one of the best pegs when it's like that. When I drew there on Sunday, I had a go, and I think I caught 3 fish across. It was totally different conditions, sort of quite cold. And that day, I caught most of the fish on the bottom, short on maggots. When I went back to do my match report on the Thursday, so bearing in mind it's 4 days difference really from a practice match to when I went back to do my match reports, and you wouldn't believe the difference. So one, it felt like a totally different country almost. It was so warm, but the amount of fish in the cover, it was ridiculous. There was carp swimming in front of it. The reeds were permanently knocking, and it was nothing like that when I was there on the Sunday. So I think the biggest thing is basically normally what happens in the Pole Masters is it goes warm and it's in and around spawning time. So everything in the lake just wants to be in the cover. Consequently, that's where all of the fish are. So if you've got a weed bed in front of you, that's where all the fish are going to be. They're just going to go there because that's where they want to go, not necessarily because you fed them to get them there, like normal open water shallow fishing. They're swimming around, just trying to gather them in an area and then ultimately catch them. So the biggest thing is all of the fish are there when it goes really, really warm and sunny. And that is without doubt the best way of catching them. The only downside is obviously not every peg's got that. So I think it wouldn't be as bad if every peg had that option, but a lot of them don't. And that's why you're seeing obviously such big waves. And that is by far the most efficient way of catching them. So my biggest thing, I always look at it, I always try to look at it, is if it's within, what's the right way of wording this? If it's within the rules and ultimately you're not harming the fish, in actual fact, I think it's better for the fish because you don't foul hook any. They just hook themselves, or as obviously you've seen a lot of it, something I've had to learn recently. I'm by no means a master, but it's something I've realised the importance of flicking, so you're almost permanently striking. It's not the most enjoyable way of fishing is what I'm going to say. So I like seeing a float, whacking it, and they're on. I don't know. That's just what I enjoy most. So I think that's the bit with the overshotted rig. Obviously, a lot of people are watching. Again, because all of the fish are in the cover, you can't. Well, on high pull on the last day at 81 pound, I never caught a fish. I caught 2 fish shallow in open water. Never had one single bite on the bottom, short on maggots, or longer. The day before I caught a few on high pull, short on the bottom with maggots. But basically, I caught 90% of my fish down the edge where I had some cover. I was fortunate, one of the fortunate people that did have some cover down the edge. And then late on, I've caught a few in the edge. And that's the biggest thing, is just highlighted more because everything wants to be in cover. If you're going to go and fish, though, and it's allowed, you've got to do it because there's no better way of catching it. So that's the biggest thing. It's probably, maybe not the nicest to be able to watch people doing it. And it's not always the most enjoyable method, if that makes sense, but it's a deadly one. And if you want to do well, you've got to master it. And without doubt, people like Kieran Marston, Christian Jones, Chris Weeder, a few others, Steve Openshaw, they've got it down to an art form. And when they draw a peg where they've got some cover, it's game over. But you could say that about a lot of different styles of fishing with a lot of different anglers. There's, you know, when paste comes into it, again, some people like, I don't particularly like doing it, but when it's right, if you don't do it, you can't win it. And same thing with a method feeder. You know, I remember it was again a long time ago when fishing for sort of carp, sort of feeding balls of ground bait into the middle of the lake with a big float, and you know, you need proper gear for it, proper catapults, obviously a lot of bait as well. Firing ground bait is hard work, but again, when it was right, you couldn't say, well, I'll just fish on the bottom with a feeder, because you won't catch, you won't win. But yes, it's just, you know, it's one of them, unfortunately, Les. It's I say, you know, but when it's relevant and where it's allowed, there's no better way of catching fish. That's what I will say. So again, a bit of a, not a touchy subject, but yeah, I've had a few sort of comments about it, but it's one of those. Here's our resident lads, John, Danny Griffin, you won again. I love these boys. And he's replied, not again. Here we go. Draw bag. And then Joe, look, replying, he knows he can be bribed by a Krispy Kreme. Joe can be bribed, definitely. So this from Les, like me, a bit old school. Yeah, you like what you like. But at the end of the day, like, I like, you know, one of my favourite styles of fishing is pellet waggler fishing. I absolutely love it. Don't always enjoy bomb fishing, just don't find it's exciting. But at the end of the day, everything, when it's the right method, fishing, ultimately match fishing, is about finding the best way to catch the most fish from your peg. Whether it's your favorite method or your least favorite method, if you're serious about competing and it's within the rules, i.e. you're allowed to do it, you'd be daft not to. That's the thing. Why make it harder for yourself? I think at the end of the day, that bottom line, that is what match fishing is all about, is drawing your peg and trying to catch the most fish from what is in front of you and what is the best way of doing it. And again, just touching on, you know, overshotting, the reason it's highlighted is basically it's gone really warm. All the fish want to be in cover, and that is by far the best way of catching them, because they don't want to come out of the cover. They don't want to feed in the middle or down the bottom. So ultimately, that's why it was, you know, so dominant, basically. So this one is from Barry Smith. When Andy next live match being released? Sorry, Barry, we had to put it back a little bit. I know he filmed before us, but we wanted to film a live match at Tunnel before the Pole Masters. So that one got released before Andy's, just so that quite a few of our lads obviously were fishing the Pole Masters, and we always try and do that before the Pole Masters, just to give people sort of like the heads up of roughly how it's fishing. But that was the only reason it was put back. And I know that Barry's editing that at the moment. I've spoken to him this morning, and I'm pretty sure, I'm 99.999% sure it will be out next week. But that was the only reason it was put back, is because we wanted to release this live match before. But yeah, apologies for that. Normally you would know that as soon as we film them, we're trying to get them out as soon as possible, because obviously it's most relevant to you. But that was the only reason why, Barry. But yeah, it should be, I'm saying, next week. So this one's from Ryan. Hey up, Paul. Hope you and Joe are good. Yes, brilliant here, Ryan. Hope you and PJ and the family are keeping well. We're off to Weymouth next week. So yeah, some good time together. I'm looking forward to that. This one's from Stampy Mick. Got to be Matty Dawes' turn to win. I'll have a look, Mick. I wouldn't be the best at poker. You never know, he might have won. So anyway, let's move on to obviously what you're all here for, our June giveaway. So again, just a note from Joe, and she's put, if you are a website subscriber, we will email you. If you are a YouTube subscriber, please email support@matchfocus.co.uk if you think you've won. So moving on to our giveaway, each winner this month is going to win these 5 kilos ground baits, and I'm just going to read them out and show you them now. So our first one is, if I make sure my light don't show it up too much, just reflecting with my light, that is our pole mix, the Ever Faithful pole mix. So a kilo of that, and then moving down, a kilo of coarse expander. That's Paul Yates's mix. Really, really nice mix, lovely and coarse. And then moving further down, the next one is my mix, a kilo of coarse carp. Absolutely love that mix. And then moving further down, I'm going to say this right this time because Baz will kill me. It is a kilo of the Optimus Prime Attracts. So the fine version, that one, really, really oily mix. Going to be perfect this time of the year. I think it's going to be released round about early July. It's just Baz doing the editing for the videos, and they're going to release it all as one release, basically. Professional people. And then the last one's going to be a kilo of the coarse Optimus Prime Attracts. If he watches this, he'll be shouting like mad. Paul, say it right. A kilo of Prime Attracts, fine and coarse. That one was just for Barry. So we've got a couple more, but what I'm going to do is, obviously, I'm going to read out our winners first, and then I can finish off with a question. So our first winner is Stephen Owen. Congratulations, Stephen. Our second winner is Ian Hall. Congratulations, Ian. Our third winner is Chris Gothorpe. Congratulations, Chris. I'm so petrified of saying people's surnames wrong because I'm rubbish at it. And then our fourth winner is Jace Hunton. Congratulations, Jace. Our fifth winner is Paul Edwards. Congratulations, Paul. Our sixth winner is Ian Crossman. Congratulations, Ian. Our seventh winner is Chris Hamilton. Congratulations, Chris. Our eighth winner is Conrad Thrower. Congratulations, Conrad. Our ninth winner is Dave Taylor. Congratulations, Dave. And last but not least, our 10th winner is Chris Owers. Congratulations, Chris. So again, just to recap, we've still got a few hats left. If you go on the website on the shop, you'll be able to find them there. If you're a website subscriber, Joe will send you an email and just sort of like, what is it? Your name. Basically, you're not being spammed. It's Joe. And if you're worried, you can always send me a message and I'll just confirm it, because I know there's a bit of that stuff going around. But she will not be asking you for any payment. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, basically, if you're a website subscriber, we'll email you. If you are a YouTube subscriber, please email support@matchfocus.co.uk, and obviously Joe will check your login and all that side of it. And then lastly, me and Andy are going live tonight at 6:30. So if you've got any questions, more than happy to send them over to me, either Paul Holland Angling on Facebook. If you've got my number, you WhatsApp me or text me, or to Match Focus Facebook page, and I make sure I get them answered. But again, if you're a bit tech savvy and you've been on before and you want to answer your questions online, more than happy to do that. But that was this June's giveaway. So what I'm going to do, we've got a couple more up there, and then I'm going to love you and leave you and let you enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. No, Friday? It is Friday, yeah. So where are we? Where are we now? So this one is from Ryan. Pull fishing, pellets on the bottom, wire stem, float or glass. PJ and the family are all good. Personally, Ryan, I wouldn't use either. I'd use a carbon stem float. That's the float that I would use, depending obviously how deep it is. That one is sort of a 4x16, 1.7mm Maggie. That's sort of like my go-to float, I'll be honest. If it's quite shallow, just to give you a rough idea depth-wise, so I'd say if it's sort of up to 3 foot, I'd probably use a 4x10, 1.7mm Maggie. Then if it's, I don't know, up to 4.5 foot, I'd probably use a 4x12. And then after that, I don't tend to use the 4x14 much, I'll be honest. I just then use sort of a 5 for a 4x16. But again, if it's a bit deeper, might be worth setting up 2 floats for hard pellets, one nice light one, sort of your 4x12, and then a heavier one if the wind gets up a little bit. But those would be the floats that I'd use. But I wouldn't want to use a wire float, I'll be honest, not this time of the year, because I think you're feeding quite regularly, sort of lifting and dropping your rig, or lifting your whole rig out if it's shallow enough and flicking it in all of the time sideways past your pole. I just think carbon works so well. It don't break, you know, it don't bend. It's just perfect. So that'd be the float that I tend to use. If it was deeper, then if you give me 1 second, I've got them over here, right? Sorry, just give us a second. So I know that I've got them here, like your deeper water fishing. So that'd be like your dink style float with like your flexi wire. Like they're perfect for the winter time when you're fishing micros and expanders. But then if you're fishing hard pellets and it was a little bit deeper, then these are the ones that I'd use. So that's like, it's called a carbon chimp, but they're just really, really nice floats for deep water. So if I pick out a similar size of like a 0.6 and a 4x16, it's quite similar. But if you look at the difference in the bristle lengths, if I throw them down the same size, so try and put it in front of my black top so you can see, but you'll be able to see this one, the carbon chimp, the bristle's so much longer, and it's still a carbon stem float, but the total length of the float, because it's probably from the bristle a similar size in length, but it's the bristle that's probably, I'm going to say, a centimetre longer. It makes a massive difference that when it's quite windy and it's deep, when you go to sort of a big open water lake, you've got a lot of water movement. The nice thing with that carbon chimp is just the body sits lower in the water, so it don't move around as much, just so much more stable. But those would be the 2 patterns I'd look to use. Up to sort of 6 foot, I'd probably opt for a 1.7mm Maggie. For deeper than that, then I'd move to a carbon chimp. But hopefully that's, you know, a bit of advice. Then move a further down. This from John. Can't believe I've not won, John. To be fair though, you did win the best prize that we've ever done. I think you won that event as 10-foot feeder rod. I'm sure it was you that won, John. And then our last one, this one's from John McCulloch. Afternoon, La. Hope you're keeping well, John. So that's where we're up to on our comments. Again, hopefully I see a few of you on our live tonight with Andy. And congratulations to all of our winners. Commiserations to those that didn't. But fingers crossed, next month is your lucky month. But best of luck if you're out this weekend. And hopefully I'll see a few of you later on tonight. Cheers. See you a bit.